We had a porch pirate last night. Not at my house, it was a neighbor's house. But let me say, first of all, don't steal in a neighborhood that's mostly cops, prosecutors, federal marshals and stuff, because we're going to come get you. We're not the least bit bothered by that. So it's really stupid to pick a neighborhood like mine that's probably 60% law enforcement folks. Video of them doing it and everything, and it's just going to be a matter of time before they're caught. But went ahead and set up a bait box for them, so I'm assuming they'll come back and they're going to take the bait box. It's a nice big Amazon box, and it's got some nice things in it. The problem is the boxes inside the Amazon box are full of dog poop. Not full of what they say they are. So they're going to be really happy when they steal this box and open it up, and they're going to think that they got some valuable stuff, and then they're going to open that up and find the dog poop. So I expect that we will either catch them or we'll catch them taking the bait box, but they're going to get caught. There's too many law enforcement types in my neighborhood for them not to get caught. It's really dumb to be a porch pirate anyway. I mean, I'm sure that once in a while you might get something valuable, but I would think so often you're just getting random crap that you don't know what it is, or it may not have much value to you. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is valuable, but it just seems like it would be such a stupid thing to do, particularly in a state like Texas, because theft at nighttime is a crime that you can be shot for, no questions asked. So if you're stealing something at nighttime and you get shot, they're well within their rights to do it. And I don't see any juries having any sympathy for you if you get shot while committing theft in the nighttime in Texas. Right now I am off to go test my Xtool scan tool on the Chevy Avalanche and Dodge Charger again. If you recall, I did a video a while back that said it was the best scan tool. I still think that, but I noticed that whereas it did a lot of things on my Crown Vics, it didn't have that same functionality on the Avalanche or on the Charger. And I contacted the company, and I gotta say I'm really impressed with their customer support. They reached out to me and they said that they saw my review and they want to make it right no matter what it takes. So they've already made some updates to the software just based on my experience with it. And I've downloaded those updates and I'm going to apply them right now and see if I can make it work. And then what they told me was if they can't make it work, then they will basically let me return it and buy a unit that's twice as expensive for half price. So in other words, it's almost like an even swap. I trade in the Xtool that I have and get a twice expensive model for it. So I have a feeling they're going to be able to basically pull the software from the higher model one and install it on mine to make it right, but we will see. Like I said, I'm about to go over there and try it right now. As you may or may not know, I changed out the brake pads on the Chevy Avalanche, and the second that I did it, I got a service brake system message on my dash, and the brake pedal just dropped to the floor when you pressed on it. There was no resistance. So I drove it around the shop a little bit and it'll stop, but it's not very confidence inspiring because, like I said, there's very little resistance on the pedal. It goes right to the floor. So I would not want to drive it on the roads, obviously. My guess is I just had a freak simultaneous failure of something when I did the brake pads that was unrelated, and it just showed itself at the wrong time. Or probably more likely I got air in the brake lines, perhaps in the ABS module, and as you know, with a lot of ABS modules, no matter how many times you bleed the brakes, the air doesn't come out of the ABS module, and so it causes that pedal problem. And that would seem to be a terrible design flaw, but I don't know, because it seems to be true of almost all the vehicles. When you bleed the brakes, the ABS holds the air in and creates pedal pressure problems for you, but it doesn't trigger a service light on the dash. Now I don't know with the Avalanche why it's triggered the service brake system light, because the Xtool wouldn't show any codes for brakes. So at this point I'm just assuming that it's air in the ABS lines, and hopefully can do an ABS service bleed and clear those out. And believe me, I will post the video if it's successful. The question would remain, how did I ever get air in there to begin with? Because I have never had any brake problems with that vehicle. It's got about 60,000 miles on it. This was the first time servicing the brake pads. I did a brake fluid flush before, you saw that video. But when I did that video, I didn't have any brake problems whatsoever. So the only thing I can think is when I squeezed the calipers, even though I had the bleeder valve open and was pushing the fluid out of there instead of back up into the master cylinder, perhaps somehow I got some pushed up into the ABS module when I was compressing the calipers or something. It's always possible that, the master cylinder just failed, like I said, simultaneous to me doing the brake pads, and just coincidentally. It had nothing to do with what I was doing, it just happened to happen at the same time. That's always a possibility, obviously. For sure, I'm not getting any brake fluid leaks, not losing fluid from the master cylinder or anything. So my guess is, if it's not air in the system, then the master cylinder went bad, or perhaps the booster is somehow losing pressure or whatever. I've noticed it's kind of noisy when I press the brake pedal, but to be honest, I don't know if it's always been that way and I just wasn't paying attention because I had the radio on or what. But there's definitely like a whooshing sound when you're pressing the brake pedal. So it's possible the booster's got a leak somehow. It doesn't appear to be like a vacuum leak because there's no idle problems or engine running problems or anything like that. Brakes can be frustrating. They're supposed to be pretty simple. Swap out pads, swap out rotors if you need to. Change fluid periodically, keep it fresh. It seems like you get a spongy pedal problem, there's not really an easy way to diagnose it. You can bleed and bleed and bleed until you've got brand new fluid coming out of every bleeder valve and still not fix your pedal. And I don't know how many air bubbles it takes to make the pedal real spongy. It might only take 1 or 2 air bubbles. And I also don't know if I'm basically moving the air bubble back and forth in the brake line and not actually getting it out. You see some folks say it takes like 1, maybe 2 presses of the pedal to get the air to the back. But I don't know, because there's not a way to track the air going through your brake line, assuming there is air in there. And there are lots of properties for sale between my house and shop. From what I hear, the prices are just skyrocketing, so people are probably trying to cash in. A lot of them are just empty land that are for sale. There's one that I passed. It's 34 acres. It's got a half-finished house that was built in the 1800s. They moved over there, were remodeling it, and then the guy passed away before finishing it. They're asking almost $900,000 for that house with the land. And I know some of you in the country are probably thinking, oh, that's cheap. But I can tell you, it wasn't that long ago that acreage around here, you might pay $1,000 an acre, maybe less. And the house that's on it is not, I wouldn't say the reason for the skyrocketing value. I would think it's the land that's causing the spike in the price. I mean, it's not a bad house, but it is an 1800s house that's been moved there. Compared to some of these houses that are like around my shop that are made of Austin stone and look like they're in excess of 3,000 square feet and have all the modern amenities that you'd want, plus detached shops and silos and everything else. So that one being $900,000 has got to be just the land, because there's really nothing else going with it other than the not fully completed old house.